What is up, YouTube? It's your brother Franchise Guy coming at you again with another episode of Madden 19 Franchise Mode. And guys, we're 1 week closer to Madden 20 coming out. Yes, Madden 20 is just around the corner, and we're still playing some Madden 19. We're getting ready, making sure the thumbs are working all fine and dandy, get the sticks correct, all that cool lingo the kids use these days. Talking about Madden that I have no clue what they're talking about at all. But it's getting some D tackles right there. Yeah, not too great. But Eagles taking on Falcons. I mean, the gangrene defense Eagles take on the Dirty Bird Falcons. I mean, that's just a rivalry right there that cannot be beat. I mean, put it this way: when your team is scheduled to lose against the Patriots and you win, that's a huge accomplishment. But when your team is up by 25 points with, what is it, a half hour left to play in theory, each quarter's 15 minutes, we have a half hour of gameplay left, and up 25 unanswered points. I mean, that's something I'll be a little salty about if you know what I mean. But hey, what am I to really judge? It's not my place to dip my toe into that pool. I don't talk about other teams' misfortunes. I just go after my team's misfortune, and my team has a ton of misfortunes. I mean, you've seen the Eagles. They are a misfortune-led team. Hands down, full of misfortunes. Can't can't do any better. Can't do any worse. Just just pretty bad. But hey, at least they're not the Falcons though. Like sure, the Eagles have this huge history of being failures, but the Eagles on the upside right now. They have their franchise quarterback Carson Wentz, a quarterback they haven't had since Donovan McNabb. And guess what? Carson Wentz is not only better than Donovan McNabb, he's also not an he's not egotistical. He's not gonna sit there and be like, well, I can't have this number one receiver because I need to have all the attention towards me. I don't want to win. I don't want to be effective. I don't want to have the greatest offensive weapon in the league on my team. No, not what I want at all. I want to be the drama queen who's the only star in my team, who everyone looks up to. If the offense does great, it's because of me. And if the offense does poorly, it's because of everybody else. Donovan McNabb didn't want to share the limelight. Donovan McNabb literally is the reason why T.O. came to the Eagles. T.O. would never have came to the Eagles if it wasn't for McNabb. You want to know why? Because Donovan McNabb and T.O. were best friends. Yeah, you didn't know that, did you? But T.O. and Donovan McNabb were best friends. You want to know why they're best friends every year? Because their teams weren't that great. Every year, T.O. and Donovan McNabb would always be at the Pro Bowl together. And guess what? Because their teams weren't good enough to make it to the Super Bowl. So every year, guess what? Donovan got to hang out with T.O., T.O. got to hang out with Donovan, and they became really good friends. They became the bestest of friends. And, he came to Philly to be with his best friend. I mean, wouldn't you want to be on a team with your best friend? The man that you always hang out with, the man you always go to Pro Bowl with, and, he's always going to be there to be with you. Why wouldn't you want to go play with your best friend? Sure, there's players who have the opportunity to go home but sign somewhere else, or they'll have the opportunity to do one thing, but they surprise will and do something else. Look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout, the Philly kid. Millville owns 2 seats at Lincoln Financial Field. I was a big Phillies fan as a kid. Big just Philadelphia sports fan. He comes to the Sixers games, comes to the Eagles games. I'm not sure if he's going to the Flyers games, but I know he's definitely done the Sixers, and I know he's definitely done Eagles. But, he had the opportunity to come to Philly in 2 years when his contract ended. But you know what he did? He chose to stay loyal to LA. Or, Los Angeles, Anaheim, LA. And yeah, he signed that 13-year, $43 million deal. You can't argue with Mike Trout about that one, not one bit. You know, Mike Trout deserves that money, and he has the opportunity to be where he wants to be. I mean, T.O. could have picked the same thing. He could have gone somewhere else, but no, he chose to come to Philly, which made it worse in a sense because he was hurt by it. He was upset by it. That's why he kind of went to the Cowboys. But hey, at least we're not the Falcons. The Falcons have passed up on so much talent over the years. I mean, so much talent. I mean, you could have had Brett Favre, a franchise-altering quarterback right there, but because he was too cocky and whatnot, you didn't want to deal with him, and you traded him away to Green Bay. You see how that ended up for you. Favre won a Super Bowl, and Atlanta has not. Who do? You bring in Michael Vick, who for a couple years it was really good. An electrifying quarterback, the most broken quarterback in Madden. I mean, you gotta win a Super Bowl with that. He's a lefty. Sure, he's a lefty, but whatnot. Not a big deal. Steve Young is lefty. He won a Super Bowl. Nothing to worry about. And then he gets mixed up with the wrong people, and there's dog fighting on his property. And guess what? He has to go to jail for that. And guess what? After that, it comes back to the Eagles. The Eagles are always there to pick up the pieces. Michael Vick set to be released from jail, and Andy Reid gives him a call and says, "Hey, Mike, come to Philly. We'll give you a starting job. Everything will be fine." And he goes to Philly, and the fans love him. The fans hate him. I mean, I have my own story about Michael Vick personally. I'll get to that in a minute. And President Obama, this is something that most people don't know. President Obama picked up the phone and personally called Andy Reid about the signing of Michael Vick. Now, he gave an African American man who could have had his life wasted, thrown away, and not ever had a playing career again, and he gave him another chance. And Vic stuck around a couple of years. He played 3 or 4 years in Philly. Then he went to He went to Pittsburgh for a couple of years. Went to the Jets for a couple of years. I think actually the Jets was a year. Pittsburgh was 2 years, so he stuck around for another 5 or so years at least, 5-6 years. And all that because Andy Reid gave him a chance. But I guess talking about Michael Vick, I'm a big autograph collector. I mean, I like to do jerseys and bats. I'm not really bats. Jerseys and 8x10s are my main go-to item to get signed. Have a couple balls, but I prefer to get photos and jerseys. So I'm sitting there on the internet, and I go to this website for autograph listings, and it lists a Michael Vick autograph signing in Lancaster, PA. I looked up, it's like an hour away, and I'm like, oh, that's not a big deal. Not a big deal one bit. So, buy a ticket in advance, gets canceled the first time. Oh, that's great. It was a family emergency, so you can't even blame that. It's a family emergency, it's a family emergency. Family got to stay with family. So it gets rescheduled. Schedule date comes out, and I go to it. Drive the hour, which turned out to be closer to an hour and a half, 2 hours. Just because how the roads were, and they just dipped, and they're at 25-mile-an-hour zones and all that fun stuff. So I get to the signing. Now get my ticket, get in line, and he's a half hour late. Yeah, no one likes a signing who's a half hour late without a reason. I guess one thing if it's weather related and you're late because of traffic, or traffic in general or whatnot. No, he was just late. Chilling, didn't show up on time. And then I have a jersey. I have a 2011 Pro Bowl jersey. One of the years he went to the Pro Bowl with the Eagles. But I got that jersey, and I'm the only one that has a jersey. And people are like, oh, it's such a cool jersey. This, that, this, and the other. And I'm like, cool. Talking to the town right here in this line with my awesome jersey. And it's my turn. Give him my ticket to get signed. And I had inscription tickets because I want to get the Miracle at the Meadowlands. That's just one I just wanted to write down. Miracle at the Meadowlands. And then uh, he like used like the dullest Sharpie, and it was just really bad. It wasn't personable, wasn't anything. Just really bad, not fun, kind of upsetting to go to. It's a really big jerk, at least in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend going to a Vic signing. I mean, there's very few signings I regret going to. I mean, his is up there. His is probably the number one, just because it's like you chose to do this event. It's not my fault if you don't want to be there. You chose to do this. You know, they paid you to come, so like at least you could try and be personal. You can at least try and I don't know, be a human being that you know is enjoying himself and his fans. But Brandon Brooks, though, this game did fairly well. He got a new contract, which is always a great thing. Let up no sacks, which is pretty good for Carson Wentz. Less sacks he's got to take up, better off on his knees they are. But if you guys like the episode, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Thanks on YouTube. Peace out, rock on, and stay classy.